in the colors white and gold. White and gold, whenever you see white and gold or blue and gold in Renaissance art or in Baroque art, it usually means heaven. So what you look at in that beautiful gilded ceiling is, in fact, you look into heaven. Now, our question is, well, how do we get to heaven, right? How do we get to heaven? What do we have to do? So, Deborah, if you don't mind skipping to the baptismal ones and go to the side where you see the wall of St. Peter's. What do we have to do in order to get to heaven? What we have to do is we have to follow the example of the saints. Now, where do we find the saints? One more, I think. Perfect. Next one. Mm-hmm. Where do we find the saints? Can you go to the next one? We find them in the columns. The columns are the columns of the church, and the church is not a building. It's made up of living stones. And those living stones are the saints. So this whole general main nave allows us to read a little bit of a catechism into it. We go to heaven, we reach that place, that final end of our earthly pilgrimage. We reach that by becoming saints. How do we become saints? We follow the example of saints. Who are the saints? The saints are members of the church who have gone before us and who have lived heroic virtue. Now, St. Peter's Basilica, since it's a very special basilica, obviously did not just choose any saint, and there's many in the Catholic Church, but they choose all founders of religious orders to form the pillars of the church, quite literally. So you have the pillars of the church as examples for your own pathway to sanctity. And so one, I just picked one that I'm sure you all are aware of, so I don't really have to explain him further, which is St. Ignatius of Loyola. So you can see him there. We're going to talk about him in a moment, but let's stay here. So by the example of the saints, we go up to heaven. And what do we have to do? Why are the saints holy? Why are these founders of religious orders, why are they so special? What makes them so special? They lived virtuously. So where are the virtues? Well, the virtues are above the arches. You see those women figures? Women figures in Renaissance art always mean they're symbols, right? They always stand for something. They're not usually not historical figures, but they stand for something. They represent something. So what do they represent? They represent the different virtues. Okay, justice, temperance, fortitude, charity, purity, and so forth. And so by the example of the saints in the pillars, we can emulate their virtue above the pillars, and then we can enter heaven. And so right above that beautiful scripture, which Robert explained last tour very well, we enter into heaven. So this main nave of the church is really representative of our pathway to heaven. And that's how we're supposed to read it, because we're supposed to, after entering through the gate that is Christ, we're supposed to see that heavenly symbolism. Now, this is all still Renaissance, and the church has more than one style of art in it. This is a very Renaissance idea, okay? It's very abstract. You have to know a lot of things to understand it, a little bit like iconology, honestly. Iconography. In the Baroque, it will look different, because if you go into a Baroque church, which we may still on a future pilgrimage, you will actually see the heaven open. You'll see heaven painted on the ceiling. So you actually look into heaven. We don't have that here. It's very abstract, okay? The heaven is gold and white. So you have to know, with a Renaissance mindset, you have to know, those two colors mean heaven, right? Yellow and blue. The stars and the sky mean heaven. So anyway.
Jan, I wanted to make sure that everyone knows where those virtues are. They can see above that rounded arch in the middle, right?
Yes,
we're going to see them better in an upcoming photo.
Okay, one other thing, those words above, I always look at the inscriptions, Deficiat fides tua. So should your faith, fides tua is your faith. This is Jesus speaking to Peter. He said, should your faith fail, and tu aliquando conversus, and when you then you return, then you will strengthen the faith of your brothers. Because Peter, as we know, denied Christ, and he was sometimes inconstant, but Peter still said he was a rock, because he always would come back to the faith. Conversus there is at the top of the column. When you have returned, when you have been converted, you will then confirm the faith of your brothers. And so this is the role of every pope. Every pope is supposed to be Peter, and whatever weaknesses he has, he's supposed to convert, become steady, and then confirm his brothers. I just wanted to say that. It's written on the Basilica walls.